So I'm just waiting for Dawn to come on, and I'm going to look for her. And we have a really exciting interview today. So I want to talk, we're going to be talking to Dawn Tababandang and also her daughter Dawn and Joyce Tababandang. She used to be the chief of Wasauksing First Nations, which is up in Parry Sound, and right now her son is, and her mother was, her father was, and she's also been the Grand Chief of the Robinson Huron Treaty. Love you too. So I'm just gonna wait for Dawn. I'm gonna see if I can find her here. No, she's not here yet. So we'll just wait until she's back on. And yeah, so how's everybody? It's Canada Day. Everybody gets the day off. Hi, Stacy. Love you. Yeah, the hair's gotten really long. COVID hair. But that's okay. At least I got a little bit of a color done. And so I am really trying to yes, you are trying to totally get my attention. Love you, miss you, girl. And yeah, so Dawn and I, we're going to be talking about a few things, and it's all about First Nations, Six Nations, Indigenous. So we're going to be talking about a lot about the Robinson Huron Treaty that was signed in 1850, and we're also going to be talking about residential schools. I am so interested in residential schools because I just can't believe what our government had done to the Indigenous people many years ago. And so I'm just waiting for Dawn. So hi, M. Stearman, Jacqueline. Oh, you like this, eh? It's a winner's deal. Oh, look, I gotta tuck that little piece in. So yeah, so I'm just waiting for her to come on, and we will go for that. We had a little bit of a glitch earlier, and it said that she couldn't join, so she's now gone over to her iPad. So I'm just waiting, and yeah, hopefully it doesn't take that long. Hi, Deborah. Oh, Stace, that's okay. You can keep talking to me. I love talking to you people. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean you people. Oh my gosh. I mean all of my friends, my followers. I didn't mean you people, so don't give me shit, okay? Hi, Violet. I bet you are. I want your mom on here soon. You tell Barbara that I'm waiting for her. So it looks like Joyce and Dawn might be having a little bit of an issue. Hi there, the girl behind the wheels. Well, that's a pretty cool name. Hi, Renata. So yeah, I really want to talk about residential schools. I don't know if you guys really know even about residential schools and everything that happened back then, which they really screwed up a lot of children's minds, and children that were just completely taken away from their parents. And yeah, but I wanted to talk to Joyce about this, and yes, tell her it's so simple. But then again, I'm waiting for Joyce. We're teaching everybody about all this new technology. See? Oh my gosh. It's the Tababandang, the names, and I'm having tongue twisters here saying it, and it's Wasauksing First Nations. And I've been there and I love it. I went to a powwow there a couple years ago. They invited me up, and it was the most amazing experience. If you ever get a chance to visit a powwow, you really do have to. I am looking for her again. Oh, there she is. Hey! So I just invited Dawn and Joyce. So they just have to accept. Yeah, Jacqueline, you really, really have to.
There we go. There we go. We
Hi,
got to get a little
ladies.
closer, Mother.
Hi.
Hello,
Hold it.
finally. All this technology.
I know. That's okay. We're on here now. How are you?
Fine,
We're
fine.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, you's enjoying this beautiful weather?
Oh, yes, yes. Sitting
Oh,
outside, just like sitting in our living room.
yes, exactly, exactly. So I was kind of explaining to everybody, Joyce. So you are a former chief of Wasauksing First Nations. Your son is now chief, but your mother, your father were all chief. And you're also the former grand chief for the Robinson Huron Treaty. Can we start off talking about the treaty? And for people who don't know what it is, I understand that it was a treaty that was signed in 1850. But if I let you explain it a little bit so you can give us some knowledge, and for people who don't have a clue about what it is.
Okay. Uh, First of all, the Robinson Huron Treaty uh, consists of 21 First Nations from Sault Ste. Marie down to Port Severn along the backside of Algonquin Park. Now that's our Robinson Huron Treaty area. All of Ontario is treatied. There's Treaty 3, Treaty 9, but and then there's the Mohawks. They have their treaties. So all of Ontario has a treaty, and this started our treaty. Robinson Huron Treaty was signed in 1850. They started negotiating about the treaty in 1812. In 1763, King George from uh, Britain, um, uh, when they were coming over, the British were coming over to Canada or to the Americas, they realized that they didn't own the land. They wanted to buy land or they wanted to settle. And King George said it wasn't their land. It belonged to the people that were here. So they started talking about the treaty, and then finally in 1850 they signed it, and the treaty said that they they were welcome here, but we would share the resources. That was the bulk of the treaty, that we share our resources. So anyway, that was in 1850. So today there hasn't been any of the resources shared. The province administers all the resources in Ontario. Um, we
They shared. I'm going to interrupt because we
okay.
still get $4 a year.
Oh yes, we
You
start
get
out at
$4. Each person
Yes.
gets
30,
$4.
part of the treaty, yeah.
You
that's
get four.
supposed to. That was in 1850. It was less than $4. It
You
was
can't
raised.
even get a. You can't even get a Starbucks coffee for four
No,
dollars.
Never mind even a pack of smokes. Even on here, you can't even get it for a pack of smokes now.
Oh my gosh,
but
that's
it was money and gifts like seed, probably horses, stuff for to plant their gardens,
right.
because the money they got, really there was no stores. So where were they going to? What was
Yeah,
the use of money? So it was
I
the
know, but
gift.
now money
Yeah.
is everything.
So now that's what we went to court. It's been quite some time now that our lawyers, our Anishinaabe lawyers, our native lawyers, have went to court with the government, both the federal and the province, about the treaty and the sharing of the resources. So we won the case, but now they're negotiating on the resources. So that's the next step. I don't know how long that'll take, but
Right. Well,
that
hopefully it won't be forever because,
no.
but considering, you can't even get a phone call with the government without being on hold for 4 hours. I really hope you guys get a hold of them a lot quicker than anybody else does.
Yes, it's been 150 years now.
Hey? Oh
It's
my
been
God.
over 100 years.
Yeah. You ever
But
try calling and it's like press this, press this, press this, and then you press the last one and it takes you back to the beginning again. It's like, oh, that's right. But I wanted to also, so I'm you know, Indigenous people were here first. We all know that. We all understand that. And it's just a matter of, like you guys were generous and shared and now people to me I feel have maybe taken advantage of the situation. And I was born here, my mom was born here, my father was born here, everybody's been born here, but realistically my ancestors were immigrants to Canada whatever amount of years it was ago. So the Indigenous people, and by the way, my father is there's Indigenous in the family, so I'm allowed to say all this. So I can practice what I don't have to practice what I'm preaching because I'm allowed. But yeah, but so I just wish all the best for you, and I hope it all gets settled because it's just not fair. It's just not
no.
fair. Another thing I wanted to talk when it came to the government as well, I want to talk about residential schools.
Okay, with the
Residential
schools.
residential schools. I've heard so many horrific stories, and my heart, like even when you and I were speaking this morning, I just wanted to just cry because I just can't imagine what a human being how a human being can do the things that they did. So if can you explain what a residential school is?
Okay, the residential school was was started by the government to take children, and one of the government people said to take the Indian out of the child. So the kids that went there, they were uh, they were scooped. They were we call it the scoop. If the children were out by themselves on the road out playing, um, they they were seen as being abandoned, so they were sent to the residential schools.
They would
So
just drive by and just snatch up a child.
yeah, when I was a child, we were never allowed to play on the road. We were always in the bush. Anytime we saw a car or a person that was not native, we went further in the bush.
Never
Oh my
mind, when
God.
I was growing up, we were taught when a car came, hit the ditch, hide.
How horrible is that?
And that's my generation.
Oh my gosh. That is so if
So
you have little kids like, my son would when he was little just play out in front of the house, right? I'd have to
yeah,
worry about just a car driving by and snatching him. And then they would take him to a residential school. But what is that? Do they give it to a family, a white family? What did they do?
they had well, there was a few. There was one in Brantford, Ontario, and Shingwauk up in Sault Ste. Marie, where they had all of the kids and like to say that the horrific stories. My family, we were very fortunate that we did not go to a residential school, but
You
they
weren't
couldn't
allowed
speak their
outside to
language.
play. You weren't allowed
No,
outside
it
to
was in the bush.
play.
We were in the bush. We were playing in
Yeah.
the bush all the time. That was our playground. And we used to play tree tag and like the squirrels.
Yeah.
We were, but with the residential schools, they had, they couldn't speak the language. It was horrible. Some of the stories that we talked about, but it's the effects that I see that we live with today. It's the kids that went to residential school. There was no, today there was no parental guidance. They weren't taught any. So now their children are lacking.
Everyone suffers. Every
Everyone
generation.
suffers. Yes,
Yeah.
when you
So
did some.
even now, like everybody is suffering from the traumatic experiences from residential schools because
Yes,
you hear so many things about sexual assaults,
yes,
molestation, like
yes.
all that. And when there's such a stigma out there, and it really makes me sick. I've heard it like from people from before, like nobody in my circle, but I've heard like throughout the years, like, there's so much alcoholism. There's drug addictions on the reserves. And my heart really breaks because where did all that come from?
Right.
You
They're
only
trying to.
know what you're taught. You only know what you're taught. And if the person that's teaching you does not have a clue about compassion or how to love their children or to show empathy, what do you think's going to happen?
Right. What we have today, and there was also no identity. They had no
Lost
identity.
identity.
They lost it. They didn't know who their parents were. They didn't they didn't know.
And it's such a tragic because it's who the hell snatches up at somebody's child? I
Yeah,
don't. It makes me sick. It
That's
makes me angry.
that's just like the 60 scoops you hear about. That's the child family services. They scoop our kids too and and put them in the homes.
Put them in a family home
yeah, in a
Yeah,
family home now, but
for
yes,
for what?
for workers.
it's with the
Like
children's aid
slaves.
now.
Slaves.
Basically, yeah. Like my people that I know, my age, my generation that we're in, they were a family of 4 siblings. Went into a home and they worked the farm. So all they did was work the farm.
It's like I feel like we're talking about a movie.
I know, eh? 1996 was the last residential school that closed.
That's not that long ago. It's only
No,
20 something years ago.
yeah,
23, 23 years ago. Oh
yeah.
my gosh, that's horrible. So you see what the after effect is? So like everybody who's listening, you really got to see, like I always say, like when I came up to the powwow that you invited me up to a couple years back, it was an amazing experience. And I'm telling people if they ever get the chance, the opportunity, they should really, really try. And I don't know if it's something that anybody can just show up to
Oh
or
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, okay, and Wassasing is your First Nations Wassasing is located where?
In Perry Sound, it's it's the second biggest island of the 30,000 islands.
Mm-hmm.
It's 37 miles around. 30 no 90 19,000 square acres is what it is.
19,000
37
square
miles
acres.
around.
And what is the
And we
island
have
actually called?
Wasauksing. Uh, uh, that's the our Anishinaabe name. That's our
Oh, okay.
Wasauksing. It means a shining, something shining when you come to the island. It's all shining, and some say it was the birch bark trees in the moonlight. It was the rocks, but it means something shining. That's what
Right.
Wasauksing means in the language.
Somebody's asking,
And
is there somehow to find out when the powwows, right now with COVID, there's nothing, but is there somehow to find out when there's a powwow? Is there a website or is it just word of mouth?
There is. It's called the Powwow Trail.
The powwow
Powwow Trail
trail dot
trails.
trails,
I think. But
plural.
I think if you just Google powwow trails, it'll come up and they'll show you all the powwows going. Basically, any First Nation that puts in North
Mhm.
America, Turtle Island, all three Turtle Island powwows,
Oh,
meaning the
wow.
States and Canada right through.
Right. And the Turtle Island, is that the one that I went to?
No,
Which?
Turtle Island that's what we refer to North America.
Oh,
if you look
okay.
at North America,
I went to
it's in the shape of a turtle.
Wasuxing. Right,
Yeah.
right. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. But yeah, so how is like I just can't believe this whole residential school stuff. It really, really hurts me. Like it's just surreal that something like that could happen, you know, to little children and to just a human being like that to somebody. It's just tragic and just horrible, horrible. I wanted to ask you too, how so right now, you guys, because there is a lot of alcoholism, a lot of drug addiction, but it's not just First Nations. It's downtown Toronto. It's downtown Vancouver. It's the
It's
whole world.
everywhere.
So there's no stigma just on Indigenous people. Let me get that straight. The whole stigma thing is, you know, get that way out there because it's everywhere. It's in every family. It's just that people hide it better, sweep it under the carpet, or they're in their little, you know, their little home, their own little circle, right? But yeah, so let me also ask you, how are you all doing with COVID?
Well, we're isolating, self-isolating, trying to obey the rules. But you know, my mother, her parents would have come from the being in the Spanish flu era, and what they did was they isolated, they self-isolated. The ones that survived. That's how they are. That's how they survived. They tell us. But not today. We can't self-isolate like they did before. We have to isolate in a modern way, like the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, keeping a mask and washing our hands. You know, that's
Yes, yes. Yeah,
we
Being,
exactly.
sorry, Mom. Being on an island makes it a lot easier
for us
for
too.
us too, feeling much safer because our community is still close to non-residents.
Right,
So, which makes a difference.
right. How, what is the population of your community? Do you know?
I think around, give or take, 400 that live here, members.
But
Right.
there's about 1,500 altogether, a total membership. About 400 to 500 live here on reserve on the
Mm-hmm.
First Nation, and
Mm-hmm.
the others are, you know, living in other places. Um,
Right,
yeah,
right. Like right in town.
yeah,
Because
in
I
Toronto or
remember
wherever.
Dawn took me for a drive to see you at your home on First Nations. And what happened was, I remember going over a bridge. Is that the
Yes,
bridge?
an old swing bridge. Yeah,
The swing
one of the
bridge.
oldest bridges in the world.
Really? Yeah, because I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
whoa,
it
like
still
this.
swings.
And you,
Afraid it
I
was going
know,
to
because I was
collapse.
just like, oh my gosh. But it's like, it still swings. Is that safe?
No, I wouldn't want to be on it when it's swinging or below it.
No, I wouldn't either. Oh my gosh. The government needs to come and build you a really nice bridge.
They're working on it.
Oh,
The
good. Just like everything else on the list, right? Oh my gosh.
Maybe we'll have a COVID bridge.
But that's okay. Lock us in until the COVID is gone,
That's so
right?
true, eh?
Like it's true. Also, what I wanted to talk about, because I remember when I came up there, you had taken me to an aunt's house or a friend of yours' house who had made some special things.
Oh, Audrey. Yeah,
Audrey.
yeah,
And
Audrey.
I remember I brought, so here is my sweetgrass,
Yeah.
and I leave it by my door for people coming in and out.
Okay,
So
you know what you
anybody,
can do?
mm-hmm,
Sorry, is it this? You know how it's dry because it's been soak that in water
mm-hmm. And
and
the
then let
smell,
it. It'll come back. The
it comes
smell.
back. Yeah, so that's what I
Yes.
have to do because it is drying out on me. But this is sweetgrass for anybody. And can you explain what sweetgrass is?
Sweetgrass is we see it as Mother Earth's hair,
Huh?
and
Ah,
you take one strand of it. You gather the strands together and braid them in three, and it makes it stronger. And
really?
Yes, and also we use it for. We'll smudge with it if we're having not so good thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps good thoughts in with us and the bad thoughts away. It it helps us in our everyday life. It helps us when we do our prayers
So
Even
when you
making tea,
and making tea.
drinking it. Yeah.
and making tea. Hmm.
You can cut your little ends off of that and let it steep in water, and you can have some
Really?
nice.
And I bet
Yeah.
it's really good for you.
Yeah. Put some blueberries in that boiling water with it, and you have some blueberry sweetgrass tea, or raspberries.
Well, I know what
Or
I'm doing after this interview. I'll be snipping off the end. But do you burn sweetgrass like
yeah,
sage
it's
as
like a
well?
sage. Yeah.
When you smudge,
Yeah.
you burn it and you like. Yeah, I'm smudging with sweetgrass and saying my prayer
In the
Right.
photo.
So
in
Yeah.
the photo.
I also have
Yes,
my
Smudge.
sage
yes.
Yeah.
and sage. I remember when I was up there, there was a we you took me somewhere on a cliff, Dawn.
Was that in Depot Harbor?
I'm
The
not
powwow
sure,
grounds?
but wasn't there like a teepee where
Yeah,
you go
that
in
was at
and
the powwow grounds. Yeah, at the TP. Yeah, yeah, that was in Depot Harbor.
right.
Yeah.
So that was really, really cool. I felt so light.
Yes. It's funny. I just went and visited my medicine man a couple of days ago, Mary Joyce and I, and she's mentoring under him.
Is she?
She is, Sherry. She's become a very spiritual, very gifted woman.
Oh my gosh. Awesome. That's
Yeah.
MJ, right? MJ.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
great. You'll have
But
to, well, I'll have to have a conversation with her.
I know she said that when I told her about this. She goes, "Oh, I would really like to talk to Sherry again."
Yeah, because
But
I'll interview her and we can talk about like just
yeah.
like traditional medicine and
Mm-hmm.
just what you use. And I also have Palo Santos.
She uses that too. Very good
Mm,
stuff. Yeah.
and I love it. So how often do you use it? How often do you cleanse? Do you burn it like 24 hours a day?
No, that you're not supposed to. You only use it when you need it.
Ah.
You don't smudge it. Some people smudge every day, but again, it was funny because going to the medicine man the other day, and talking to Mary Joyce, saying you don't need to smudge every day. You smudge when you feel that negative energy or you feel that down, whatever. That's when you smudge.
Or in
Or
the
when you
middle of the
have
night,
like a when you have an
Nightmare,
a
energy from
nightmare.
or if you have a
or when you
visitor
have family over.
after they leave. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the best way to smudge. You need to
Yes.
really smudge. Get this. People. If there's one thing you take this with you. When you have family come over and they leave, get it all out.
Yeah. Now, do you know you're supposed to leave a window open in your home when you smudge?
I know that to let
Okay.
out the negativity, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I do know that, but for anybody who doesn't know, always make sure you leave a window because it's really what would be the purpose? You're not
Yeah.
where's it gonna go, right?
Just
It's
gonna stay with you.
just gonna stay with you and you're just gonna smell like you're cooking turkey or something. Because somebody's asking, where can we get or buy sweetgrass or sage?
From
Depends on where you live.
yeah.
Reserve?
Sweetgrass season is now. Yes, reserves usually in any store on a reserve will sell. A
Uh-huh.
craft store,
Uh-huh.
friendship centers. If you have a friendship center in your town, city,
Uh-huh.
a native friendship center, even you can order it online now. For Pete's sakes,
Yes,
you
on
just again
Amazon,
you
right?
yeah. But there's actually I just became friends with someone on Facebook from he's from Wiki Manitoulin Island, but he's got a page and Instagram, but Creator's Garden,
Right.
all medicine, and he's learning and doing videos about different medicines and showing you how to harvest, when to pick. Like sweetgrass season is now, so you can start picking. It's about knee high now.
Really?
Yeah, And it's you know how grass is, and when a long piece of grass you got the little lumps, how you tell the difference is sweetgrass is shiny on one side and dull on the other, and there's three, it all comes from one, so you don't got no, it's all smooth, the whole stem is smooth, no little bump.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I
You can
didn't
only
know
find
that.
it when the sun is out too,
Really?
because the sun is shining and you see that one shiny edge, that one shiny
So
side.
it could be like on the side of the road.
Yes, yes. You smell it?
It's nature.
It's
It's
and
nature.
it is, and all over when on the islands when I traveled a long time ago when I was single, you could smell it down in Jamaica and Trinidad. I could smell it. It's all over.
So it's sweetgrass season right now. I
Yeah.
wanted to grow my own sage,
Oh,
but with COVID, do you think I could find any little clippings or babies? I would have
yeah.
had to start from seed, right?
Okay, yeah, the biosphere next year. I'll get you the information. You can buy plants from them. You order them and you pick them up in May. You can order sweet. You can even buy. I have a girlfriend who grows sweetgrass and sells it in little pods to build a transplant.
Oh my gosh. That's really
Yeah,
cool. Well, this will be once MJ gets established with what she wants to do, and I'm sure she'll open up a little some kind of online shop. Make sure she
yeah,
reaches out to me because I will share that for her. And because I'm always asking people, where do I buy sage? I always send them to Amazon because, but I'd rather send it to the resorts,
yeah,
the resource. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Somebody who's when they're picking it with love.
yeah, yeah. And you
Not,
always remember when you pick something, you got to give back. So you offer your tobacco. Always
okay,
offer your tobacco.
okay. So let's talk about that. Um, what do you mean?
Okay, maybe I could
Yeah.
interject. There's uh, right across Turtle Island with all Native people. There are four medicines that are universal. We all know there's sweetgrass, sage, cedar, and tobacco,
Mm-hmm.
and we all use those medicines for the same reasons. Uh, s because those they don't grow in all parts of our territories, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
we can use either or.
Right.
And there are times when we smudge, we'll put four of them if we can get it together and do our smudging.
A mixture.
Yeah, the four medicines, the four most important medicines in our
Very
culture.
potent.
Yes.
You
Very,
burn
very.
those four together. You dry them, put them in your smudge bowl together.
Mm-hmm.
Very potent mixture.
So when you say tobacco, like, can you just go buy a pack of smokes or is
So,
that different? Or
no,
can you?
Yeah, no, again, medicine. I'm just saying medicine man because he's telling Mary Joyce, you can go buy your traditional tobacco, again, at a friendship center, a native store. You can find it, and they do, you can find it. But when he says when you can't find that, he buys the pipe tobacco because it's the
Oh,
closest to the most, not less chemicals in it. So you can buy a
right.
bag of pipe tobacco if you
So
can't
if
find
we, so tobacco, cedar, sage,
the
and
sweet,
sweetgrass
those
are all
four.
the four. Now, you guys have what you call, I don't mean you guys, but
Yeah.
Indigenous people have what they call a medicine wheel. And that medicine wheel is all four of those. It's in like quarters, right?
yes,
Yes, and each direction and each part represents something. The directions, the four colors of the Mother Earth, and
the four
the
elements.
four elements. Yeah,
And that's really cool because, I was with the College of Traditional Chinese Medicine as a regulated acupuncturist. So I had learned so much. And so much of it relates, and that's traditional Chinese medicine, and then there's indigenous, and it's like it's amazing. And I always talk to everybody about, and I think we had this discussion when I was up there, was like even like um, modern medicine that's out there. Listen, you need modern medicine, but I'm thinking traditional and modern together could be amazing, right? Because
Yes.
some people do need modern medicine
yeah,
to help them. But I always talk about aspirin because aspirin comes from the willow bark tree.
yeah.
Yes.
It's just somebody who come up with this name, but it literally comes from the willow bark tree. it's nature. Like all these medicines are nature, like, but there's chemicals that are added.
Yes, and that's the worst part.
Yes, that's the worst part. So if anything, try and research out something natural. It could
Well,
be
and that's what very
right in
good.
our
And you,
backyard.
yes, it's funny because again, this creator's garden, he does videos 3 times a week, and he was the last week was about wellness, and COVID and how people are getting depressed and anxiety. So, like everyone's got their different levels of it. Now
Oh
it's
yeah.
everyone's jumped up. Saint, what's the flower? Saint Anne's? No, Saint John's Wort flower.
St. John's wort. Yep.
St. John's Wort flower. Just you pick the flower, and there I guess there's different kinds, but the one you're picking the right. Your fingertips go red. You just pick the flower. You dry that teeny bit of tea, and that helps with depression and anxiety.
And I've heard, and it also helps with menopause.
Yes, and you know what else? There's and the long term effects of that. I just watched that video last week with him. It's funny because I'm starting to learn the medicines too and picking
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
and the signs like he was saying with bark. The first sign of when you know to pick the bark is when the wild roses bloom. Then
Really?
that's yes, didn't know that. That's the sign. Now you can go pick any bark on a tree if you're going to be using any of the bark.
You know, when my children were growing up, I had three girls and 3 boys. And I never bought aspirins because we used catnip. When they got a cold or when they were starting to feel sick, get the catnip and make some
Catnip.
tea, catnip, and make some tea and put it in a bottle with some corn syrup, give it to them, and have a couple of cups in their bath water. And they sleep and the fever goes away. And how you would check, they have a tender spot.
That's all
And when the
spot.
tender spot is down, you know
Right.
the child is
We
not
have
feeling well.
we have
So we
brandy.
would get our catnip.
Right.
So in
That's
the fall,
cool.
I always had lots of catnip
Yeah.
because yeah, it really works.
Well, somebody just wrote from Brandy0055. I went from taking 30 pills a day to one a day from using natural meds, and I feel 100% better and no side
No
effects.
side effect. That's great.
Yes,
Good
That's
for
so
you,
true.
Brandy.
Yeah. And
That's,
again, yeah, our medicines again with us is a lot of it is preventive, right?
yeah.
Western style medicines is that you wait till you're sick, then you go see them,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Exactly. And I've always been one with my son growing up, I would never take him to the doctor the first few days. I always wanted him to try and fight it on his own to strengthen his immune system, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when he was teething, because I remember I used to get up in a roar because they used to do it behind my back, and like my mother-in-law would dip his little soother in a some whiskey
I was just gonna say that's
and
what my
whiskey
dad used on
and
me.
I
and
see
she
her
loved
looking
it.
at me sideways because she knows I'm gonna have a stroke, and but it worked, like just rubbing on the gums, right? But now
I think
it's
that's why I'm a whiskey lover.
ah, Crown
When I
Royal,
indulge, when I
Crown
indulge.
Royal,
Yes.
pure Canadian whiskey. Woohoo! It's Canada Day.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so I just wanted to, so Joyce, um,
Yes,
before we leave, because Instagram's going to be cutting us off in about 5 minutes, I want you, what is it that you want everyone out here to know, that, what is it, something that's deep in your heart that you want people to know about Indigenous, um, First Nations, Six Nations, just Indigenous people in general? What is that one thing you want to leave us with? Because we only know what we see on the news. We only know what we read in the papers and online. And I've learned that most of it's like full of crap, because especially through COVID and protesting and all this stuff, I don't know who to believe, right? I want this to come from you. What is it that you want us to leave with today?
I would like to see more in education with our history, starting with the lower grades, right up to to learn our history, and they would understand,
Mm-hmm.
where all the governments were coming from and why things happened the way they did.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but if they would know the history, then they would understand. Even
Right.
our people, even our young people, we have to learn the history from years and years, centuries ago.
Yes. It's for everybody to
Yes, and
learn.
the uh, the Earth, Mother Earth, was put on was is here for all of us, not just a certain group. It's for all of us. And there's indigenous groups all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
and if we get our history, then people will understand. We'll understand each other.
That's what it's about. It's about
Yes.
understanding each other,
Yes.
taking the time and learning about different ethnic groups
Yes.
and different cultures and different religions. And hey,
Yes.
listen, we would go out and learn the difference between um, this flower and that flower. So why not go and learn the difference between different cultures and ethnics? And,
Yes.
because we are in this all together, right? We are
Right.
in this together. One thing for sure, at the end of it, where do we go? We all go to the same place,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I have so many people that are like, thank you for this very interesting. I loved it. Everybody's sending so many hearts and prayers and yeah, but Joyce and Dawn, I really want to say thank you so much. This was like a great topic, interesting. You guys taught me so much. I'm gonna keep learning and learning and learning because you've just got me now on this um,
Right.
path where I want to just learn more and more and more about Indigenous people, and I want to have you guys back on again.
Good.
Yes,
Yes.
sounds
Yes.
good.
Okay.
I
Okay.
was
So
gonna
how?
say just with education for anyone who wants to start, you can Google anything, and you can even on YouTube. There's videos of our legends and teachings with our songs and dance, and there's a story behind every one of those. I just read about how the jingle dress and why it was and what it was for. It's like there's so much I don't know that I'm learning from the internet.
See what we're learning too, because back in the day, it was against the law to practice our
Traditions?
ceremonies,
Yeah.
so that our parents never taught us anything. So we
Really?
just started learning
You
too.
get thrown in jail if you got caught doing
Yeah,
ceremonies.
and
Like
yeah,
saging?
Yeah.
You would be thrown in jail for saging?
Yeah.
at one time when I was a teenager, here on the First Nation, if a person got caught with some liquor on them or alcohol, it was a $50 fine. If they got caught drunk, it was a $10 fine. So what are they saying?
It was just in the was it the 60s?
Yeah.
Natives were allowed to drink legally. So it was like, never mind residential schools in the 60s, scoop, couldn't drink. And then, okay, you can drink now. So everyone just,
So
it went,
specifically Native people.
yeah. Read the Google Indian Act. That's a good start.
You
There's
are
no
allowed to.
other
What
act in
happened?
Canada.
The hell happened to our freedom?
No.
Oh
But
my
anyway,
gosh, that's
this,
ridiculous.
like all the Canadians to know and, like I said, understand each other, us understanding their ways and their culture, and it's between us, because we all live here in Canada, and in the same country, we're all Canadians. I mean,
Hey, we
some
all
of us
got,
are a little bit more Canadian than the other, but we're all Canadians.
and you know what? We all have the same colored blood, and that's what counts.
Yes,
That's
that's so
so
true.
true.
My uncle said we
We
all
all
have
have the
red blood.
same colored blood.
Yeah.
It's what's on the inside, okay? It's not what's out there on the outside. So yeah.
Right.
So I'm gonna leave you, but I want to thank you guys so much. We're gonna have to do this
You're
again
welcome.
because it was
Yes.
exciting. We got to get MJ on board. Tell her
Yes.
to get
She
a store up and
definitely.
running.
Yes.
And
She would love to.
so how would you say goodbye in your?
Bamapi.
It's not goodbye either because there's no such word.
I'll see you
See you
later.
I'll see you later. Bama.
Ma P.
Ma
P.
Mapi.
Yes.
Mapi.
Bama P.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Thank you.
And sells it.